It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
I was listening to people talk about Bryce this summer and how he weighed in, at like 170 pounds. I know he just got the AC sprain. He's small in stature. I guess my point is, do you think that Hendon Hooker played well last year? He played well against Florida, and Florida did not give up and kept coming after them. He can do it with his arm and his legs, which is what the NFL is looking for. My question is, why is he not getting serious consideration for the buzz right after C.J. Stroud? That's where I'm going.
I think a lot of teams are looking at him as a first-round pick, and so am I. I see him fabulous. In that range. But some people don't. Now, you'll have all the geniuses come on in November if he gets hot and tell you, well, I had him on from day one. No, they didn't. But that's just human nature. Well, I knew it. I just didn't say it. Well, if you know it, then say it. No, Hooker is a first-round pick talent.
Yes.
At the quarterback position. What I think NFL people are looking for is now the consistency with it, because you see it. He's a tall drink of water. I mean, he's sort of thin build, but he has filled out. He's got great height. He can move around the pocket. He's got big hands. He sees and recognizes receivers very quickly downfield, which is impressive to me. But it's his accuracy skills from the pocket. That's the key for any quarterback coming out. His ability to throw the football accurately from the pocket. And we've seen it. Now, I think for NFL people, they want to continue to see that. But, man, can he make some plays on the move? Because he does have that other element, that ability to run and make some plays with his feet. But in the back of your mind, how many people thought Joe Burrow was a first-round pick his first year at LSU?
That's a great point. Great point.
And, how couldn't he beat out Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State?
Right.
That got thrown out. They got a Fox that has a national show for 3 hours every day that threw that out when he came out for the draft. Now, all of a sudden, he's in love with Joe Burrow. He forgets all the other comments that he made about Joe. But, from down here, we heard it enough that, exactly. And listen, nothing against Colin, but he was, he's got this segment, Colin right, Colin wrong. He was wrong about Joe Burrow, dead wrong about him as a player. And we all go through it. If you're going to evaluate and make those comments,
sure,
and it's out there, then you got to, come on, just say you're wrong. When you're wrong, you're wrong. You're not always going to be right about it. That's not, you're not human if you're doing that. But I do believe that with Hooker, the more it goes, Bo, the more he's going to get a lot of attention.
I'm telling you, he's what they're looking for.
He's going to get a lot of it. But you know what? It's a really good fit. And I think he even mentioned that at least twice in the interview I did with him of that offense fit him so well in what he could do. And he credited Josh and the offensive staff for putting him in a position where they could take the best of his skills and utilize it. And you can see, man, it's round peg, round hole. I think what he was telling you without telling you, when he was at Virginia Tech, they didn't do that. They wanted him to do something differently.
No. Yeah, look, Heupel's done a great job. For our listeners, we're talking about Hendon Hooker, quarterback at Tennessee. Maybe the best quarterback in the conference, and that includes Bryce. And Bryce is a hell of a football player. But, man,
but if you put
6'4", 220 plus, good grief.
But if you put him side by side, he towers over Bryce.
Oh, and what he did in the second half against Florida, Florida wasn't going to go away, and Hooker was he that was game of the year. That he had the game of the year for a quarterback to date in my opinion.
He really looked good, and who got all the ink going into the game?
Anthony Richardson.
And because you see this great potential.
Sure, he's still young.
With this young man, and he got some skills.
Hey, and here's what I'll give AR. I'll give Anthony Richardson this too. Mike D, you see it every week when you go to Saints games and LSU games. That was a hostile environment, and Richardson he played well, man. I know Hooker played better, but I was impressed that Richardson didn't back down from the moment, even though he had a couple of bad games, against Kentucky and so on. I was impressed with him.
Yeah, because when you walk up to Richardson to talk to him, you think you're talking to a tight end. I mean, he's built like a tight end. He's a big, tall man, but he's filled out, and he's got a rocket for an arm. And that was never a question about that. And his athletic skills are on display each week. He can run. But I think with Richardson, what you see is sometimes a lack of experience in understanding where to go with the football when his first read is taken away. And I know Billy is trying to get him to understand that, okay, this process has to slow down a little bit for you. You can't just be, I look downfield, my primary man is covered, so I'm going to take off and run with it. Okay, that might work a little bit from time to time, but if you go through your second read, that guy's wide open. You got to be a little bit more patient, and sometimes because you are so gifted, you say, man, the hell with this. I'm running with it. I'm taking off with it. And that's his kind of natural skill set because that's what he did in high school and early on at Florida. I don't think Dan really got with him and said, okay, this is how it's going to be done. I think Dan said, okay, if the open man's not there, your primary guy, just take off with it. But Billy's going to be different with him because he understands his future is more than at Florida.
Right.
Billy understands that his future is more than at Florida. And he's a little different because, when you think about Levis, it didn't work out at Penn State. He goes to Kentucky. You think about Hooker, it didn't work out at Virginia Tech. He goes to Tennessee. Okay, you look at the kid at South Carolina, it was sort of shaky toward the end. He goes to South Carolina from Oklahoma. A lot of these guys have sort of bounced around a little bit. With Richardson, it's just a lack of experience at that quarterback spot at the collegiate level. People say, well, he played high school. Okay, it's a big jump from high school to college. If you think that's a big jump, wait till you jump to the NFL. Yeah. That's an even bigger jump.
Wow.
And Patrick Mahomes, think about him as a rookie.
He redshirted.
Played one game, the last one.
People don't understand how big a deal that is.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.